We may have just gotten our first real hint in a long time as to when Jurassic World Evolution 3 could be releasing, and it might be a little bit further away than most of us expected. Thanks to Chris Likes Dinos of the Hatchling fame for finding this via, well, weirdly enough, Anagram Balloons website. The same Anagram Balloons who first revealed the Velociraptor design for Jurassic World Rebirth. They're really blowing the lid off the Jurassic franchise. Anyway, according to their brand portfolio for Jurassic World, it lists a few facts about the franchise, including the number of game installs, and then it goes on to say there's a new game due to release in 2026. There's no mention of a game for 2025. Now, this doesn't have to mean that Evolution 3 isn't coming out until next year. I think there are three main ways you could interpret this text. But number one is that Evolution 3 is coming out next year. That would also possibly imply that Jurassic Park Survival isn't coming out until 2027, or they're just not comfortable committing to a release date quite yet. I don't expect Survival until late 2026 at the earliest anyway. Number two, as Chris suggests in his Twitter post, they are pushing Jurassic Park Survival as the bigger game towards potential branding and investment partners. That's the goal of these documents, and therefore that's the game they decided to mention. Personally, I think Evolution 3 is probably the bigger game, especially because this is Jurassic World, this isn't a Jurassic Park specific thing, but it's worth mentioning. Thirdly, and I think this is a more likely justification than that, is that whilst Jurassic Park Survival is likely to come out after Jurassic World Evolution 3, in my opinion, the former has been announced, whilst Evolution 3, although we talk about it all the time, technically hasn't been announced yet. Ergo, it stands to reason that the balloon company, so strange, may only be talking about publicly announced games. We kind of saw this with LinkedIn fairly recently and people taking things off their portfolio. But this would at least confirm Survival isn't out until next year, which I think most of us expected anyway. I think realistically by now, most of us don't expect Evolution 3 to release alongside Jurassic World Rebirth, just because that would be barely over a 2-month marketing cycle if they announced the game today. Rebirth is out really soon, it's like 2 months and a week. Now, I am loath to make predictions as to when Evolution 3 will be announced because I keep being bloody wrong. But we did expect initially for it to be with the film, and I think Frontier probably did as well. But now that that's looking unlikely, I think logically the most likely announcement date is on June 6th during Summer Games Fest, which is really now the biggest game announcement show of the entire year. And it's also where they announced Jurassic World Evolution 2 for what it's worth, so it does have some precedent there. Evolution 2 was announced in June of 2021, of course, during Summer Games Fest, and was released in November of that year, giving it a very short 5-month marketing cycle. Evolution 1, by contrast, was announced in August of 2017, but not released until all the way into June of the next year, 10 months later. It's also worth remembering that Evolution 3 essentially has to release before May of next year because they've listed it for release to investors as coming out during the financial year 2025-2026, and that ends in May of 2026. So even if Evolution 3 isn't coming out till next year, it is coming out in Q1 next year. It's coming out in the first 3 months of next year, basically. And if Evolution 3 was announced in June and had a 10-month marketing cycle like Evolution 1, it would release in April of 2026, just in time for the financial year. In reality, if you'd asked me before today when I think Evolution 3 is coming out, I'd have said November or December of this year, because I know Frontier want to release a game every year. But realistically, it's not like a 2026 release is much later than that. I was saying the last 2 months of this year, so what if it's January or February next year? We're talking 2 or 3 or 4 months later at max, really. Hell, it could be a single month if it drops in January. It's also worth noting, this is kind of a positive. There was only 3 years and 4 months between Evolution 1 and Evolution 2. Pretty standard dev cycle, I would suggest. But we're now near enough guaranteed 4 years. If not 4 years and a bit of change, the dev cycle for Evolution 3 could be a year longer almost than Evolution 2. And that could really only be a positive for the game's development. I'm as impatient for this game as anyone else, it's kind of fundamental to my livelihood. But the more time they have to cook, the better the game we get at the end of it, hopefully. If it is coming in Q1 of 2026, which I would now say is pretty likely, then hopefully that means we get to play something great and deep and really interesting as a result. But what do you think? Do you buy... I mean, the balloon company did release the Rebirth Velociraptor. They do know things. So, you know, do you buy this? Do you think it will release early 2026? Or would you still bank on a late 2025? Or even a surprise drop in June, July of this year? I think that seems very unlikely now. When do you think is the most likely release date for Jurassic World Evolution 3? Let me know your thoughts down below. Remember to come back later this week for that big Prehistoric Kingdom update. Billions of babies. We've been waiting until they're all released. I'm very excited about that. And stick around for more Evolution 3, Rebirth, and dinosaur nonsense in general. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks very soon. Cheers much love as always. Bye-bye.